Well, Vice President JD Vance delivers remarks at an America is Back event in Ohio. Vance is in Canton today visiting a steel plant. He spoke about the wins of the GOP majority over recent weeks and the work being put in to codify the president's agenda. He talked about the One Big Beautiful Bill, but says the goal to return manufacturing to the U.S. and to invest in American workers again started even before the legislation passed. Vance said President Trump put foreign companies on notice, build in America or face the consequences.
But I want to talk first about the One Big Beautiful agenda, because it didn't start with a piece of legislation that was passed by Congress a couple of weeks ago. It started when Donald J. Trump took office and said, you know, if you want to build something in Mexico or China or some other foreign country and dump it into the United States of America, you are going to pay a big fat penalty.
Vance says Americans will see take-home pay increase, taxes will be cut, investing in American energy will be easier, and much more is yet to come.
Now, I'm going to get a little tour afterwards, but I want to talk about what we're doing in the Trump administration to try to make it easier for all of you to do what you do, which is build a great American product, build a great American industry. And I know that a lot of you know a story I'm going to tell. I want to back up a little bit and just walk you through what was so true for many of us growing up in areas like Akron, Middletown, all across what people call the Rust Belt, but I think the Rust Belt is coming back to life under the leadership of Donald J. Trump. And you know, here's the story. You drive down the road, you drive past a beautiful factory, and you know someone who built a life in that factory. You know a grandfather, a father, a cousin, an uncle, somebody whose American dream was provided by the wages and the dignity built in that factory. And just as sure as you knew somebody who built a life in that factory, you remember the day that it was announced that that factory was going to close its doors. And it almost seemed like a week after that factory announced it was going to close its doors, another factory in Mexico or China or somewhere else in the world, that factory was going to open up. And we're all smart enough to realize exactly what was happening. Every time they closed a factory in our hometown, another factory opened up in a foreign country. And if you were anything like me, you'd ask, why the hell is this happening? Why is this happening to great American industry, to great American workers, where we are closing down in the United States and opening up in some foreign country? And the answer, my friends, is because we had a generation, and I hate to say it, it was in both parties, a generation of failed politicians who rewarded businesses for opening up factories overseas and penalized businesses for building right here in the United States of America. And under the leadership of Donald J. Trump, we have turned that stupid logic right on its head. We are going to reward companies for investing in the United States of America, and we're going to punish companies for building in China and Mexico. And you hear a lot of talk about the One Big Beautiful Bill. I want to talk about the One Big Beautiful Bill, but I want to talk first about the One Big Beautiful Agenda, because it didn't start with a piece of legislation that was passed by Congress a couple of weeks ago. It started when Donald J. Trump took office and said, you know, if you want to build something in Mexico or China or some other foreign country and dump it into the United States of America, you are going to pay a big fat penalty. You're going to pay a tariff before you dump these products into our country. And you know what that did? That put the entire world on notice that America was back, and if you wanted to build and invest in America, you were going to be rewarded. But if you wanted to build and invest somewhere else, you were not going to be rewarded. And that put the entire world on notice. And it had to happen. Because for 40 years, while those great American factories closed their doors, we know what went right along with them. It was great American jobs, it was great American dignity, and it was great American wages. And we know that because we're making smarter decisions in Washington, D.C., we are going to reward all of you for the great work that you're doing, and we're going to reward American companies for investing in American workers, not foreign workers, for a change. Step one was to tell every foreign company that if you want to access to American markets, you ought to build in America, otherwise you're going to pay a big fat tariff. That was step number one. And step number two was just a couple of weeks ago, where you saw the President of the United States sign the One Big Beautiful Bill. And here's what the One Big Beautiful Bill means for you in very concrete terms. Number one, We're going to see take-home pay go up in the United States of America, in this district, probably $7,000, $8,000 per family over the next 3 to 4 years. We're going to see your taxes cut. If that big, beautiful bill hadn't passed, you all would have gotten a tax increase to the tune of thousands of dollars to each and every single one of you. And we happen to believe that you all work very hard for your money. You ought to keep it, not the federal government. Ain't that right? That one big, beautiful bill makes it easier to invest in American energy and American energy workers, because if you want to build and manufacture great American steel, we all know that it helps to have cheap, reliable American energy to build that steel with. So we're going to invest in American energy workers. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to stop buying oil and gas from foreign countries, and we're going to buy it right here at home in Ohio and Pennsylvania. We are very worried about the humanitarian problem in Gaza. We see a lot of starving children. We want to make sure they get food. We also want to make sure that the thugs in Hamas that are preventing them from getting food are stopping that process. So we got to get food to the neediest people. We've also got to make sure that Hamas gets the hell out of Gaza and lets the food come into that terrible, terrible situation, because I don't know if you've all seen these images. You've got some really heartbreaking cases. You've got little kids who are clearly starving to death. Israel's got to do more to let that aid in, and we've also got to wage war on Hamas so that those folks stop preventing food from coming into this territory. And Henry, you know, it's an interesting thing, because you'll have people say, well, you know, we got to let more food aid into Gaza, and we do. And I know that our Israeli friends feel like it's kind of unfair, because they're waging war against Hamas. They would, of course, love to have food come into Gaza to prevent this terrible starvation. And they say, well, you got to hold Hamas up to the same standard. Let's be honest. Hamas is a terrorist organization. If we ever count on Hamas to get food into Gaza, you're just going to have more starving kids. So it's up to the Israelis and up to the Gulf Arab states to take some initiative and help these starving kids. We've got to do it. It's a terrible situation, and it's got to stop. The president said as much just a couple of hours ago. For 4 years, under Joe Biden's Department of Justice, the media didn't give a damn about the Epstein files or about the Epstein case. For literally 20 years, the story about this scumbag, and he is a scumbag pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, he's dead now, but for 20 years, you had Obama and George W. Bush's Department of Justice go easy on this guy. They didn't fully investigate the case. They didn't show any curiosity about the case, and now Donald J. Trump is asking his Department of Justice to show full transparency, and somehow that's a criticism of Donald J. Trump and not Barack Obama and George W. Bush. If you want a job, and I think that's a very simple principle, that so long as you're trying to get a job, so long as you're in this country legally, we're going to make it possible for you to afford a doctor. That is the principle that drives us, and that's the principle that you're going to see in the Trump administration's policy over the next 3.5 years. So what I'd say to people is, if you're looking for work, we're going to help you look for work. If you're looking for a job, we're going to try to make it so there are better jobs available to you. But so long as you're working hard or trying to find a job, you are not going to suffer because of this policy. That's our commitment to you, and that's what we're going to fight to make happen. Appreciate your question. Number one, housing costs are way too high in this country. If you look over the 4 years of the Biden administration to the moment that Donald J. Trump took office, you had housing costs go up almost 100%. Housing nearly doubled. We've got a lot of great young American families who can't afford a home because housing went up so much under the Biden administration. Now, I'm proud of the fact that according to Zillow, under the Trump administration, housing has gone up 0.4% over the past 6 months. So we're making a lot of progress, but I think there's a lot more that we can do. We're, of course, going to keep on working on the healthcare question. The president really cares about this deeply. Why is it that European nations pay way less for prescription drugs than we do in the United States of America? They're basically free riders off the generosity of the Americans in this room. I think it's crazy that Americans pay so much for prescription drugs while a lot of our allies pay a huge discount. We're going to work on that issue too over the next 1.5 years. So there's a lot to do. There's a good news, bad news. The bad news is Joe Biden left us with a ton of a mess to clean up. The good news is there's a lot of opportunity to solve the American people's problems. The president is committed to doing that over the next year and a half and then the years beyond that as well. Haley, do you miss me?
We take our intermediate crop, so we have a little bit of tail, a little bit of tail. Have to work that a little bit of that spread.
See you all. Good to see you. What are you doing here? Henry. Good to see you. What is this, like an hour drive for you? Not too bad?
20 minutes.
20 minutes? Okay, good. Hey, Haley, how are you? How's it going? Where are you from?
Plain dealer.
Plain dealer, okay.
Hi,
Hey.
Rebecca Downs.
Hey, Rebecca, good to see you.
I'm pregnant with my 4th child.
Oh, God bless you.
Thank
Of course.
you.
Yeah, good luck to you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Where are you from?
New York Times.
New York Times. Okay, yeah, good to see you. Hey, man, how you doing? Parker, we doing all right? These guys behave?
Oh yeah, Parker's the best.
All right, see y'all later. Thank you.
God bless.